Yes, guys, what's going on? Sham here from Be Real Boxing / Be Real TV. Please make sure you subscribe to both channels. And let me explain one thing. Please do me one favor, go to the bell notification icon and set it to all. I promise you, if you love boxing and you are a boxing head, you are going to love this channel. Because I break down these fights like no other fucking channel does. Straight up, right? I do my best. Okay, so look, pardon my language, but anyways, Be Real Boxing, right? You guys are okay with watching two grown men smash their faces and potentially kill each other, so a bit of swearing should be okay. So, here's the thing. Jermell Charlo, who is undisputed, at 154 pounds, if I'm correct, because I'm a casual boxing fan now, but I'm just getting back into boxing after a while. I used to be a complete boxing nut, but it's I took a bit of time off, but I'm back now, so I'm talking about boxing for you guys. And Jermell Charlo, 154 pounds, right? He's been a fantastic fighter, and he's the prodigy of Derek James, who is going through a bit of a rough time right now with Errol Spence and the loss that he suffered at the hands of the great Terence Bud Crawford. But it's bizarre because what I read, and I don't know if this is accurate, so someone in the comment section correct me if I'm wrong, but Canelo wants Jermell Charlo to move up from 154 pounds to fight him, I believe, at 160. Or even in a higher weight class, or was it super middle? I can't remember. But yeah, he actually knows super middle. It was 2 weight divisions, which I find very bizarre why he would want that. But Canelo's fighting now he's signing up with the PBC under Al Heyman, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Canelo does against these guys, because I actually feel that Canelo peaked and he's kind of fallen off a little bit. I feel that there was a time when Canelo looked unstoppable. And maybe it was just the Bivol fight, I don't know. But it's getting a bit chilly in this car. But maybe that's what it is. But for my money, I think Canelo has shown signs of deterioration. And I feel like Canelo got a bit confused with his fighting style. And fighters who get confused with their fighting style, it could spell disaster for them in the ring, because you look at Canelo in the Triple G1 fight, most people felt he lost that. And he went in the second fight, and for my money, I thought he convincingly beat Triple G. Okay, convincingly is a bit of a stretch. I thought he beat Triple G in the rematch. But he switched up his style, because in the first fight he was extremely defensive. He was like a Mexican Floyd Mayweather Jr. I loved his style, fantastic. And he showed these flashes of greatness against Austin Trout when he was still very new. And then he went and faced Floyd and Lara and these guys, and he showed vulnerability. Especially in them days, he showed vulnerability. But for my money, Canelo developed as a fighter. And in the Triple G2 fight, Triple G2, he showed signs, glimpses of an all-time great, because he adapted. He went forward and he beat another great fighter. But I feel like when he faced the likes of Daniel Jacobs, again, he showed us glimpses, shades of something that could be ranked as an all-time great highlight reel. You see what I'm saying? Because there are not many fighters in history who can defend, use their head movement, their upper body movement, and have that rhythm that Canelo Alvarez has shown us. Not many fighters can do that. Because ultimately, it not only comes down to head movement, does defense. Defense is footwork as well, and I'm not going to make this a technical video, but Canelo Alvarez, as he evolved over the years, his footwork improved. He started to fine-tune the balance between offense and defense. He was able to switch between the two easily. He would often gas a little bit. But overall, Saul, he's been a fantastic champion and a great fighter. And it's been a pleasure to watch him evolve over the years, because there are not many fighters who are willing to dedicate themselves to the sport at the pinnacle of the sport when they've achieved all the fame and money and women, to then go and continuously improve under the spotlight in the fashion that Canelo did. So, for my money, I'm a massive Canelo Alvarez fan. I really am. And I feel like he doesn't get the props he deserves. So, he evolved. But then he went up a weight class too high. And I'll tell you the win that I actually really gave Canelo credit on was Billy Joe Saunders. Because I actually believe that Billy Joe was... I'm going to go on a limb here and I'm going to make a really big statement. I think Billy Joe Saunders was one of the greatest fighters to come out of Britain when he was at his best. But he didn't showcase it. It's like, do you know people say Mike Tyson was such a fantastic fighter, and I say it as well, but he never proved it. That's what I believe Billy Joe was. I think he was a fantastic fighter who never proved it. He just wasn't able to get it together at the right time in his career and put together that dominant performance against somebody who he probably would have beaten in his prime, you know? So for Canelo to beat Billy Joe, I think was a great win for Canelo because... And I'll tell you, another fight that I rated Canelo on was Amir Khan. I'll explain why, what I'm trying to say here. It's because, do you know, Amir Khan and Billy Joe, they're fantastic fighters in terms of their boxing ability. So it was stylistically a nightmare for Canelo, but Canelo came through the stylistic nightmares because he was getting boxed by Amir Khan, but he adapted and caused the knockout, and he got the knockout win. Amir, if that was a lesser fighter, potentially, maybe they might not have got the knockout against a young, fast Amir Khan, you know, moving around the ring with the experience and speed and, you know, that Olympic pedigree that Khan had, you know, and Khan was, you know, healthy at the weight and everything. He was, you know, and Canelo just landed that one punch and knocked him out in a devastating fashion. He was getting outboxed. Great fighters have the ability to be able to pull that out of the bag when it matters, and Canelo did that. And I feel like damaging Billy Joe in the way he did, cracking his, absolutely demolishing his face, was, you know, with the precision, I haven't seen something like that in recent times, if I'm honest. Not in recent boxing. It's been amazing to watch Canelo fight. But then he went up and he faced Bivol in a weight class that was one step too high, and people made a lot of excuses for him, and I feel that Canelo could have beaten Bivol. I think he should have beaten Bivol. I think he had the skill set to beat Bivol, and I don't believe that it was weight. I don't think weight wins you fights. I mean, to an extent, yes, it can. To an extent, size and weight can win you a fight, and you can get overwhelmed. But if you're a truly great fighter, the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr. on that level, truly, and this is where I'm talking truly great, you'll find a way. And Canelo struggled with the Bivol fight, and it was too much weight, it was too much size, too much reach, too much speed, and the style was wrong for him, and he got comprehensively beat by Bivol. But the question is, did he get beat because of the weight or the skill? Or did he get beat because he was aging? Because who has Canelo faced after that? I forget, but I've not been watching boxing recently, but I feel like Canelo's lost his shine a little bit. Triple G3, that was a fight. I felt he should have stopped Triple G in that rematch. Triple G is a very old fighter. If Canelo was still at his best, he should have really stopped Triple G, but he wasn't able to. And I was not impressed with Canelo's performance in the Triple G fight. I felt like Triple G didn't have the volume of punches that he once did, and so on and so forth. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm miscalculating it. It was a while ago. But from what I remember, Canelo didn't perform very well. It begs the question, where is Canelo at? Because boxing is measured in terms of mileage, you know, it's not measured in terms of age. This car was created in 2023, but it had 200,000 miles on the clock. So, it wouldn't be the same car. You cannot compare this car to a car which has had 50,000 on the clock, regardless of the year. In fact, a car that was made in the 90s that has far less miles than a car made recently will probably be a better performing car. Same with boxers. It's not measurable in the same way, but boxing is complete wear and tear on the body. It's miles on the clock. It's all the running that you do, the punishment you take in sparring, the punishment you take in the ring. All them vicious punches that you throw to the body on the mitts and with your coaches and the impact it has on your joints, it takes a toll, especially with Saul, the way he fights. He fights in a fashion which is explosive. And I heard something about fighters quite a while ago. I heard that some fighters, their flame shines very bright for a short period of time and then they burn out quick. Mike Tyson was the epitome of this. And other fighters, their flames do not shine bright for a short period. Instead, they remain on for a longer period of time, with the likes of Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather. And if you actually look at the two fighters, Mayweather and Ali, they're actually very similar in this flame analogy that I'm talking about. Now, they were boxers, back foot boxers, rhythm, movement, speed, precision, so on and so forth. Whereas Mike Tyson was a wrecking ball and a wrecking machine, relying on power, speed, and everything, all in one go, and perfection, because Muhammad Ali wasn't a massive puncher, neither was Floyd. Mike Tyson was a big puncher with speed and everything in his peak, but it was a short-lived peak. And I believe Canelo is closer to a Mike Tyson than he is a Mayweather, because he loads into his punches, he throws with authority, he throws hard shots to the body, to the head, he punches with mean intentions, and he's not a fluid boxer. He fights in bursts. He's a anabolic fighter rather than an aerobic boxer. Aerobic boxer meaning somebody who tends to move around the ring a lot, throw a lot of punches, not load up on shots, throw it quick, throw it straight down the pipe. That sort of boxer. Aerobic boxing, I would call it. Anaerobic boxing is where, and I've made these terms up, right? Well, I've not made the terms anaerobic, aerobic up. But anaerobic, I would describe in boxing terms as a fighter who throws vicious shots but can only throw a few of them. Because if Canelo Alvarez was to throw his hard body shots 50, he'd be gassed. You won't be able to maintain that. It's impossible to be able to maintain 80% energy, explosiveness in your punches for a long period of time. You wouldn't be able to output that for a long period of time. You can do it in burst fighting. That's what Canelo does. And I believe that burst fighters burn out quicker because the type of training that they do is geared towards that. They train in bursts, squatting, punching hard on the heavy bag, building up power punches, building up speed at the same time, having this explosion of energy in short bursts. And I believe that you burn out quicker when you do that. And it could be complete bullshit, but I've heard this before and I really believe it. It's like sprinters versus long distance runners, anaerobic versus aerobic. So the thing is this, Canelo is now going to be facing Jermell Charlo, and the question comes again, how much does Canelo have left in the tank? Are his knees damaged? Because he's always wearing these wraps, them black tape things on his arms and his legs, and it looks like he's had wear and tear on the body as Canelo, but he would do. And I don't know where Jermell is at, but does Canelo have enough in the tank to be able to beat a very young, hungry lion like Jermell Charlo? Well, that's very interesting. I think, if I'm being honest, I don't think Jermell Charlo stands a chance moving weight classes facing Canelo. I think it's an easy win for Canelo, and I think it's a chance for Canelo to showcase his skills, but equally it's a chance for Jermell Charlo to upset the odds and show what he's about and, really build his name in the sweet science, in the sport of boxing, because let's be honest, outside of the core boxing fans, people don't really know Jermell Charlo. They don't know him like that, So, as far as I'm concerned, this is an opportunity for Jermell. It really is an opportunity for Jermell Charlo. And I feel like Jermell Charlo is very basic. Now, I'm not saying he's not a great fighter, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being basic. When you're a basic fighter, it can often at times work wonders for you. Because when you mastered the basics, Bruce Lee said, I do not fear the man who practices 1,000 kicks. Instead, I fear the man who practices one kick 1,000 times. And there is some truth to that. In boxing, if you are straight up and down, you can beat some great fighters, but when you come up against another great fighter and you have to go and win against that great fighter, we saw that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. It becomes difficult because they have more ways to win. They have lateral movement. They have defense, which is very unique. And they have this ability to box you from different angles and different ways. And if you look at Canelo Alvarez, he's going to be the bigger fighter. He's going to be the more experienced veteran in the ring. The only question comes is, has he got enough in the tank for Jermell Charlo? I think it's a very difficult fight for Jermell. I wish him all the best against Canelo. I'm a Jermell Charlo fan. I really like him. I think it's going to be a very difficult fight for Jermell. I really do. I think that this is, I believe, Canelo Alvarez's coming out party on the PBC. And I think Al Haymon would love nothing more than to promote the number one draw in boxing, which is still Canelo. He remains the draw. He remains the pay-per-view star. And if he's fighting Jermell Charlo and this fight goes ahead, I think if what I said was accurate about Jermell being undisputed at 154 and having to move up weight classes to fight Canelo, I think he's at a major disadvantage straight away just there, simply because of that. Because, like I said, Canelo is a burst fighter. He fights in bursts and he throws with vicious intent, with speed and precision. And Jermell likes to throw with authority, with very good precision, accuracy, uses feet very well, and he'll move in and out and catch you with straight punches. But that has never been what has beaten Canelo. What beaten Canelo is the Bivol, is the Mayweather. I don't think Jermell has anywhere near the boxing capability of Floyd. I don't believe that Jermell has the output and the boxing footwork of Dimitri Bivol, nor does he have the size. And unless Canelo has significantly deteriorated overnight, I think it's going to be a very difficult fight for Jermell, because the only thing I think that Jermell could do that would cause problems to Canelo is actually raw punch output and footwork and speed, and mimicking what Bivol did with a bit more snap in his punches. Because let me tell you, Bivol might be a bigger guy, but that doesn't mean that he has a better chance at knocking out Canelo. You see, what happens in boxing is, you've heard the saying, right? Everybody's heard the saying that it's a punch that you don't see coming that will knock you out. And I think Jermell has a better chance of knocking out Canelo than a lot of fighters, because he's actually a big boy. He's going to be hydrated. And I'll tell you the biggest thing, Canelo won't be expecting to get knocked out by Jermell Charlo, because he has so much belief in his chin, because he's not been down. He's, not in recent years anyway. I think Miguel Cotto's brother potentially hurt him, but I don't know if he went down, but irrespective, recently he hasn't. Canelo's got, naturally he will. He's got a huge amount of belief in his chin. And I just think for myself that overconfidence can sometimes be your downfall. And I don't think he'll be expecting a smaller fighter in Jermell Charlo to be able to knock him out when he hasn't been knocked out by Triple G or any of these big punchers. And it's precisely that Jermell Charlo could capitalize on. But he shouldn't, if the fight goes ahead and gets announced, he shouldn't expose his cards that that's what he wants to do. Because if Canelo doesn't see it coming and Jermell Charlo lands a good one on Canelo, giants have fallen in the past, and there's every possibility that under Derek James, who teaches very good fundamentals when it comes to throwing with power, and I'm not going to shit on Derek James just because Errol Spence lost to Terence Crawford. I think there was a lot more to do with that fight. I believe the accident actually played a role with that as well, and I believe that Terence Crawford is a fantastic fighter, and I don't think you could just solely put it down to Derek James being a crap trainer. I don't go with that philosophy, and I refuse to. So, back to what I was saying. So I was saying that Jermell Charlo, I don't think he can outbox Canelo, to be honest. I think Canelo's got such a good boxing brain. He's got footwork, he's got head movement, he's got very good defense, he's got power, he's got speed. And I think he's going to want to shine on the PBC. So I think Canelo's got a lot to prove. He wants to prove that he's still that guy, especially with what's going on in Terence Crawford. And it is precisely the ego that Jermell should try to capitalize on, because I think Canelo could leave himself open to some punches. Because if he's when you're trying to go for a knockout, you're trying to press the action, and you might be doing it in a smart fashion, because Canelo does that. Because I heard that in one of his fights, I forget who, I think it was against Angulo, that Canelo Alvarez's brother got kidnapped by some drug cartels in Mexico. Big time cartels, and Canelo still went and performed, and he didn't perform in a reckless fashion. I don't think it was Angulo, I think it was the British guy, I forget his name, but I can't remember. But I know that when Canelo was fighting, that these cartels had taken his brother back and kidnapped them, and someone got flashed. And he was still able to perform to the game plan. And you don't have longevity and wins across your record, across multiple years, unless you have a very sound boxing brain and ability to be able to keep your head cool in the ring and follow a game plan. And I think Canelo's developed that over the years. So for me, I think Canelo Alvarez is going to be very difficult to beat in this fight against Jermell if it goes ahead. I think Jermell's chance, as great as a fighter as Jermell Charlo is, respect to the brother, but I just think his chances are very slim in this fight. And I think that he needs to capitalize in moments. He needs to be like a fox in the ring, not like a lion. Shouldn't be lions in the camp, he needs to be a fox. He needs to be a fox in that ring. He needs to be cagey, he needs to be careful, he needs to have volume, he needs to have a game plan A, B, and C. He needs to try different things in the ring. Maybe he can outbox Canelo, try it for 2 rounds. Unlikely, but try it. If it's not working, look for the right hand, set up the right hand, use the jab, land the jab, open up the right hand. Wait for Canelo to come in, make Canelo come in. Do stuff with your footwork that will force Canelo to close the distance off and force him to come forward. Capitalize on it. Maybe if that doesn't work, push him back. He needs to try different things, but everything needs to be geared towards landing the straight right hand on Canelo Alvarez's chin that he doesn't see coming and try and hurt Canelo. Because Jermell has punching power. Derek James teaches punching power. He has the correct punch dynamics. He has everything in the tool shed to be able to hurt Canelo. But it's a very easy thing for me to say here, sat here driving, telling you this. It's another thing going onto the biggest stage in boxing, against the biggest draw in boxing, and actually doing it. But if you're going into the fight, this is what you've got to do. If you're going to win, this is what you've got to do. And I think for my money, Jermell's best chances are knockout against Canelo, because I don't see him doing what Bivol did. I do not see that happening. I think Canelo isn't that far washed. And the fact that Canelo can box circles around Billy Joe, I'm sorry, but Jermell is not that boxer of Billy Joe. He doesn't have that sort of, I don't know if you want to call it authority, but that boxing brain of Billy Joe Saunders. I don't think he's got that. So for my money, I would strongly pick Canelo Alvarez. I'm just going to keep saying it. I pick Canelo Alvarez in this fight. I think that Jermell's going to have a tough time. And I think Canelo Alvarez, what he needs to do is very simple. He needs to attack the body. He needs to use his defense. He needs to be active in the fight. He needs to have defense first, offense second. He needs to push the action forward. against a smaller fighter. He needs to move back at certain times. Do what Canelo does, whereby loading up on his shots to the body and throwing swiftly and quickly and not loading up too much on the head. And he has to increase his punch output. And I think if he does that, he will hurt Jermell Charlo to the body, he will tire him out, and he will finish Jermell. I can see him overpowering and bulldozing Jermell Charlo over the long haul in this fight. It'll be very interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see. And I do wish the absolute very best for both fighters. I really hope that they make a good account of themselves. I hope this fight happens. I don't think there's many good fights in boxing right now that involve Canelo Alvarez. I think it's a bit limited. I think it's cleaned up. I would like to see him fight Bivol in the rematch, but I don't know how likely that is. I don't know if that can happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. So, I don't know. But if this is what happens and this is what the talk is, Jermell Charlo, I'm all for it. Let's get it. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments in the section below. If this fight happens, who have you got? Do you give Jermell much of a chance? Please let me know if I've made any critical errors with some judgments I've made on the 154 and moving up the weight classes and the other things. Let me know your thoughts. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Make sure you're subscribed. Press the bell notification icon, set it to all. And make sure you follow the brother channel, Be Real TV. It's the main channel, so follow that as well. Thank you very much. Be Real TV, Be Real Boxing, Sham, and I'm out, guys.